While everybody is still waiting, and we did prepare a very short poll for everybody. So maybe some interesting questions about Japan to see if everybody knows the market that we're going to be talking about. So Ben, do you want to launch the first poll question? Yeah. So yeah, feel free to participate. I'm not sure if the panelists can actually see this, but if you guys know what Japan's national food is, there was only one choice. Please feel free to fill in your answers. Then we'll let the poll run for another 10 seconds. So yeah. Yeah, so what is Japan's national fruit? I mean, national flower, everybody knows. I don't even know this actually, pomelo. I'm actually surprised like rock melon isn't in here, or like strawberries. Okay, and let us close the poll. Maybe Ben, you can close the poll and yeah. Okay, and so everybody voted for most of voted persimmon and pear. Not wrong, the answer is persimmon. Am I right, Ben?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, answer's persimmon. Okay, I think we still have more people joining in currently. So let's wait a few more minutes. In 2 more minutes. One more question, maybe, Ben? Which city is the most populated one in the world? I mean, for at least which Japanese city? Tokyo. So for those who have been, I guess Tokyo and Osaka are two mega cities that most people are. Everybody's voting Tokyo. Any more? From the ground, no one's going for Nagoya? Tokyo? I think we still have some people who haven't answered. Tokyo? Okay, maybe Ben, let's close the poll and let's see what's answers. Yes, most of us are voting for Tokyo. And what's the correct answer, Ben?
It's Tokyo. Correct.
It is Tokyo. Okay. I was gonna go for Osaka actually, but okay. 1 second. Maybe let's do just one more question because I still have people coming in. So everybody, go ahead and test your Japanese knowledge. Oh yes, this is also for us to better understand what you guys are looking out for in the session. So do let us know which one is more pertinent to you, and then we'll see if we can get our curate the questions later on during the Q&A to answer your questions better. I see most of us do work with Japan clients. Most of the attendees here are working with Japanese clients and partners. So that's good to know. And yes, of course, everybody loves Japan. Any more? I think we have half the attendees who haven't answered yet as well. Okay, Ben. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, yeah, so I guess most of us either love Japan or are working with clients and partners in Japan frequently. So that's good to know. We have catered this session specifically for people interested in the Japanese market. And so I think without further ado, let's start. People are still joining in, but it's okay. I think it's 12:30, so we can go ahead first. Ben, could you just bring up the slides for me? So thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. Just so I think most of you might have seen the collaterals, a marketing site on Facebook or Instagram or through some of the email marketing. So today we will be talking about mobility tech in Japan. Specifically, we're very honored to have with us Alan from WILLERS, as well as Chuma-san from WILLERS, and Kawabata-san as well, to talk more about the AV automotive vehicles in the automotive manufacturing industry in Japan. I'm your host for today. I'm Leah. And I think we can just get started. So maybe Ben, maybe the next slide. Thanks. Yes, so just a very brief intro about OneDotAce for those who are not aware of it yet. We are a monthly market insight sessions for startups and tech companies keen to explore the Japanese market. It is co-organized by One&Co, ACE, and .D. And the idea is to highlight Japan as a potentially attractive market. So .D and ACE will also be joining in on the panelists, joining in as the panelists later for the Q&A. So if you do have any questions specific to Japanese local startups towards Japan, you can also post them there. So each session for the OneDotAce monthly market insight actually focuses on a different sector of Japan's tech scene. And so this time we'll kick off with the mobility tech sector. And just before we begin, right, basic general rules of the session. You're free to ask any questions throughout the session via the Q&A chat box, which is at the bottom of the screen. We will only answer those questions during the Q&A session itself, which will be in the last 20 minutes of this afternoon. But feel free to ask throughout the period, because sometimes the questions might actually be answered by the sharing when the speakers themselves are sharing. So maybe Ben, you can go on to the next slide. Before I hand over the time to our speakers, let me just run through, this is the rough program for today. We will start off with the sharing by Kawabata-san, and then followed by Alan, the director of WILLERS, as well as Chuma-san, general manager of WILLERS as well, who will share more about the MAS service in Japan, as well as what mobility tech, what the future of mobility tech is like in Japan as well. Thereafter, we'll have a very short sharing by .D and Ace just to get an understanding of what they're in, how they're involved in this. And then we'll end off with the Q&A with all four speakers. So without further ado, let me hand over the time to Kawabata-san, who will share more about the transformation of the automotive manufacturing industry in Japan and what this actually means for the ecosystem of mobility services in Japan as well. So Kawabata-san, maybe you can start us off. Kawabata-san?
Oh, Kawabata-san, I think you're on mute. Oh, you're still on mute. Oh, now
can you hear me? Okay, so shall we start? Is that all right?
Go ahead. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you for attending this event. So my name is Yumi Kawabata. I will present about the mobility tech in Japan. So first of all, I'd like to tell you who I am. So my name is Yumi Kawabata. I'm automotive journalist and also writing about the environmental topics as well, basically. So I was engineer before being journalist. I was working for Sumitomo Electric Industry as a design engineer. After that, I switched my job to be a staff editor for Japanese famous magazine named Cargraphic. I also having the Cargraphic here. So after that, I decided to be an independent journalist, writing about the automotive technology, especially automotive technology, not only car itself. I'm writing about from strategy side and technology side as well. And recently, I was working for the Rohrenberger Tokyo. It's a strategic consulting firm from Munich. So it's a German origin strategic consulting firm. So after that, I'm choose the independent strategist and the journalist for now. So I was writing about these books. It's unfortunately it's written by Japanese. So this title is Japanese car manufacturer can survive or not. I hope they can survive, but there is so many problem or so many things to do to survive. So this is my book recently, and I also having the role for working for the Japanese government, like especially about the automotive technology and the automotive things as well. So for example, the Mars Roundtable of the Japanese Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism. Like this kind of I having the several kind of the role for working for the Japanese government as well. And today's agenda, there's two topics for you. And one is a transformation of the automotive manufacturer. This is the basic information to understand what's going on around the automotive tech. And the second is mobility tech in Japan. So first of all, I will talk about the transformation of the automotive manufacturer. So this is a very important keyword, case. Case means connected, automated, shared, and electrification will be main feature of the automotive technologies. So especially most of people always talking about electrification and autonomous driving. So these two technology is very important, but this technology is just onboard technology itself. So the most important things is connected, and what's coming after connected. So because talking about the personal computer or the smartphone, after connected, it's generated a lot of kind of the shared or the service, like that kind of the new service after connected. And for now, car is a little bit, automotive technology is just changing to connect. After connecting coming, especially the 5G era will become, so maybe we get, I guess, digital content was shared, and like that kind of the mobility service will be grown up very quickly after connected. So the electrification and the autonomous driving, these kind of topics this kind of technology is a very huge topics for the automotive manufacturer for now. But after connected coming, we need to thinking about talking about what the mobility service more and more. And we need to change our mind after connected coming. So in the, for example, there is a big value chain in the automotive manufacturer, but after connected coming, we must talk, thinking about the mobility service value chain. For now, we only have the left-hand side, electrification, autonomous drive, automated, like that kind of the onboard technology on the car. But for example, the Tesla bring the connected for the automotive manufacturer. So of course, most of people can understand what is the conclusion for to deliver the connected for the automotive manufacturer. So as you know, the Tesla now the Tesla is very quickly grown up, but they only bring the connected for the automotive manufacturer. And after connected coming, for example, the Uber bring the shared technology and the operation technology for the automotive manufacturer. So they also growing up very quickly. And we must be thinking about another kind of mobility service. For example, the Google will be bring the digital contents for the cars or the onboard contents as well. So this kind of we need to thinking about this kind of the huge value chain for the automotive technology, not only onboard technology. And this figure is a little bit difficult to understand, but the automotive manufacturer having the left-hand side. So left-hand side figure of the left-hand side means automotive manufacturer value chain in it. So OEM means automotive manufacturer, Toyota or Honda, like the kind of the huge company. And there is so many company under the umbrella of the OEM. For example, Denso or Aisin and Bosch as well. So after under that, so many kind of the small company, but it's a huge, I can say huge hierarchy is there. But after IT industry, after connected with IT industry, automotive industry is still stand alone, but the connected coming, for now, connected coming, and we need to thinking about the automotive manufacturer need to connect to IT industry. After that, we must thinking about the whole things of the IT industry connected with the automotive industry. So the automotive industry is just one of the IoT. So it's a very huge changing for the automotive industry. But the IT industry guys must be having the huge chance to get to building the new business for automotive industry. And there is a ecosystem of the mobility service. So there's several kind of the Japanese strengths in here ecosystem of the mobility service. For example, that we have the over seven OEM and 11 OEM. 11 means including the commercial vehicle. And the Japanese strength also, we have the huge supply chain as well, and the infrastructure as well. But we are very lack of the AI technology, especially building the platform AI or the software vendor as well. And we are very lack of the service for the mobility service as well. And there's so many chance to connect with the Japanese car manufacturer. I think so. And yes, it's sometimes difficult to thinking about the business developing for the mobility service. I always thinking about what is the social issue around the mobility service. So for example, when I visit the central Tokyo, I feel I always thinking about the social issue in the center of Tokyo. For example, when I visit the Roppongi or the Ginza, I need very easy to mass easy to access. For example, mass circulating in the region. For example, when I visit to my hometown, like the suburb area, I feel that we are very lack of the public transportation, for example. So sometimes I try to thinking about for example, the virtual bus. I need the virtual bus stop, for example. There's just some physical bus stop, but it's very difficult to access for now. So I feel that I need the virtual bus stop, for example. So this is a kind of the way of thinking, or that we need to change our mind to developing the business around the mobility service based on the social issue. On the second session, I'd like to talk about the mobility tech in Japan. And most of people also know that Toyota is a huge company, and not in Japan, in the world. So the Toyota will promote they already promote the hybrid system, but they try to bring the hybrid and the electric cars for the Chinese market, for example. And they already announced half of their product will be changed the electric vehicle till 2030, for example. And the Panasonic also most of people will know about what is Panasonic. Panasonic is a huge electronics company in Japan. And they already provide WILLERS technology and the AI equipped HUD means head. Can I say the display in the front seat, for example. And most of people really want to know about what is urban planet. Urban planet is kind of the new business or the new platform to building the new business of Toyota. So Toyota founded brand new business unit called Urban Planet. Under the Urban Planet umbrella, there's a three function called, one is called Urban Core and the Urban Alpha and the Urban Capital. Most of people need to know about the Urban Capital and Alpha because the Urban Core is responsible for the R&D of the Toyota. The most of people and most of technology carried over from the Toyota R&D section. So the startups people need to understand what is urban capital and urban alpha. Urban capital is urban capital of Toyota started to invest to all tech in the world. So not only in Japan, so it's a very important thing to connect with them. And Urban Alpha took a most important role for building ecosystem in Japanese tech. So it means that they can do the POC with startups. And Urban, I'd like to present a detail from the Urban Alpha. Urban Alpha took a most important role for the building the ecosystem in Japanese tech. Not only in Japanese tech, but can connect with the Japanese tech, it means. And for example, earlier, I'm not sure how to pronounce Arena. Arena is a basic element for car API. So it's very important for the startups to understand what is Arena. And the APM also crowdsourced open platform that generates high precision maps. High precision map is very important to develop in the autonomous driving as well. And final thing is UX of UX tool. So this kind of these three topics is very important for working with Urban Alpha. And most of people already know about the urban city. Toyota already announced they will develop the urban city. Urban city is one of the activity of the Urban Alpha. It's a kind of the POC test field developed by the Toyota by themselves. And the Urban Capital is one of the, maybe this is a huge or the biggest auto tech fund in Japan. So Urban Planet Fund estimate fundraise up to 500 billion yen. So I think it's the biggest fund of the auto tech in Japan. And they already announced the three type of the investment case. So Lenovo Motors and Camera and the autonomous driving section of the lift. So they will be announced so many kind of things, but they already announced about these three investment. And the opportunity, maybe most of the audience want to know about what is the opportunity in Japan. So the strength of Japan is good to, there is so many kind of the manufacturing industry in Japan, including the supply chain. So it means good to do the POC with hardware companies like Toyota or the Aisin, these kind of the manufacturing industries. And but another point, Japanese weakness. There is a Japanese weakness. It means it's a there's a huge space for the foreign startups. So we are lack of the IT technology necessity to build the platforms such as AI or operation system and the data science. And most of people already know where is Tokyo. Tokyo is a huge capital in Japan, but I strongly recommend to visit Nagoya or the Fukuoka area for foreign startups. So why overseas or tech startups come to Japan? So that I strongly recommend to visit the Nagoya, for example. Why Nagoya area? So Nagoya is the center of the manufacturing industry. Of course, most of people know there is a Toyota and the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries as well. And the Denso, and I think like that kind of the huge supplier also existing nearby the Toyota as well. And yeah, Nagoya is a very, how can I say, very convenient city to access the Shinkansen train. Shinkansen train can access Tokyo almost 1 hour and a half from Nagoya to Tokyo, and from Nagoya to Osaka is almost 1 hour. So it's a very easy place to access Osaka and Tokyo. And they also, Nagoya city already doing some projects to invite the overseas startups and matching. They already planning the business matching with a huge company around Nagoya. And I also strongly recommend to visit Fukuoka. Fukuoka is Fukuoka is located in the most west side of Japan, and Fukuoka is very easy to access to the East Asia and Southeast Asia as well. And they already having the very special visa for startups and management and administrative visa for foreigners. And there is some can I say requirement, but they will help to get the they will treat for the foreign startup as well.
Sorry, Kawabata-san.
Okay.
I might have to cut you
it's a time
short.
to
Wrap up, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you can just wrap up in just 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you.
So sorry for that, Kawabata-san. For those who are interested, we do have a 20 minutes Q&A session after this. I think Kawabata-san also covered quite a bit on what Japanese strengths are with regards to the OEM or the AV industry. So if you have questions as to what Japan is in need of, you can also post that in the Q&A session as well. So without further ado, I think because we are running a bit tight on time, let me pass on our time to Alan, who's the director for WILLERS in Singapore. So Alan, please.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me. Yeah, so once again, I would like to thank One&Co for inviting us to participate in this third session of the OneDotAce, which aims to provide information to companies and startups who are keen to explore the Japanese market. It's a pleasure this afternoon to share with you the mobility landscape in Japan and how it has shaped the transportation and movement in and around Japan. Well, I think I'm sure we all miss going to Japan. So to start off, I think I purposely put this photo to remind us of the beautiful scenery of Mount Fuji, right? And the world-class Shinkansen bullet train, right? So I think we miss out taking the train there, and I believe that soon we will have the opportunity to travel there. So let us all just be a bit more patient, yeah. Right. So in the next 15 minutes or so, we will quickly cover the following. So after this, I will let my colleague Chuma-san to bring you through some of the statistics and population and demographics of Japan. Later on, I will come in to then give you a brief introduction about WILLER and also the key mobility technology trends in Japan. Right. So without much ado, I'll pass it to Chuma-san.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as first part of the hello everyone. This is Asuka Chuma and working on the WILLERS with Alan as manager of global business of the development. So as the first part for the basic understanding, I'd like to explain about the current situation in Japan in terms of population and transportation from various data. So as you can see in the first graph, the population in Japan has grown until 2012 as 128 million, but it's expected to fall fall below 100 million in 2048, and in 26 it will be decreased 8 to 7 million. And so now the population growth rate is already minus, and the number of the people more than 70 years old is increasing as more than 25 million. It shows that around 30% of population is aging generation. And you can see left chart now, and the concentration of the population in cities is increasing, but the population in rural area is dropping quite a lot. And let me move on the key challenges in Japan. So this population is causing serious problems such as aging, lack of drivers, accident, and limitation mobility. So I'd like to see the more details. The left chart showing the number of passengers in local city bus, and right one is the total passenger of trains. The left chart shows the number of passengers and population in three metropolitan areas, which include around the Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Nagoya is increasing. But as you can see in the orange and the red line, the number of passengers in provincial area and suburban area is decreasing. So we can say the environment for the regional public transport is expected to become severe due to the rapidly declining population. And also, as for the 2018, the environment for the regional public transport was already facing economical challenges such as rapidly decreasing population. Hence, these charts shows around 70% of local bus operators nationwide have deficits in their fixed route bus operation. In addition, approximately 70% of regional railway operators also have deficit. Especially in last year, 2020, COVID-19 and the state of emergency affect transportation industry, even though it was not so strict regulation like as Singapore, but the number of passengers transported by cities, buses has gradually decrease and expected to decline by the approximately the 20% on average. And comparing to the last same months, 2019, the decrease in rate has huge. Also, it is said that even if the COVID situation became better, we cannot expect demand to recover to pre-COVID levels. So demand for the express buses and the charter bus, we can see the right side, is expected to decline further, with the number of passengers transported expected to fall about around 60%, because these buses are basically sustained by the inbound travel and domestic tourism demands. So the situation is more severe than inside the city transportation. And now I'd like to see more details about aging population. In recent years, the percentage of elderly people going out has been increasing since due to the factors such as increase of the healthy life of the elderly become longer. Also, the lack of sufficient public transportation makes elderly people hesitate to cancel their driver license because of age. And unfortunately, the population of fatal accidents involving elderly driver has increased, and we need to develop the society where people can cancel their driver license without any anxious, and they can move around freely without cars. So now I'd like to talk about when we say the transportation, what is the main mode in Japan? So when we think about the transportation, what will you imagine? So as Alan showed in the first page, maybe some of you missing some train with the beautiful cherry blossoms. But actually we have more options like as car, train, city bus, high-speed railway, taxi, domestic flight, intercity buses. We know the Singapore metro network is quite well developed, but maybe we can say Japan, especially in Tokyo rail and metro network, is much more. So here you can see on the left side metro network, and the right side the railway network in Tokyo. Also, as you know, the car is definitely our essential transportation mode in Japan. As you can see here, the vehicle manufacturing number is still, we are ranked as the third in the world, including the number of that are exported to abroad. And at the same time, the annual sales number in Japan is 5.2 million cars, and it also ranked as third in the world following China and US. Oh, sorry. Here, let's see the historical data. The data is a bit old, but it is showing there how each model supported people's transportation demand from 1695. So here we can see until 1965. Here we can see until 1977, the train sustained the most of the transportation demand, but from 1980s, the number of public transport users are declining due to the increase in the ratio of the private vehicle with progress in the motorization. In particular, as the number of bus users has been significantly decreasing, so we can say the future of local public transportation is facing the challenges. In this chart, you can see which transportation model sustains the most in each area. From top of here the chart, the top one showing the average of nationwide and the second one shows the 3 metropolitan areas, and the third one showing the regional metropolitan areas. The pink bar shows the train, and the blue shows the buses, and the green one is for the passenger vehicles. Even the regional metropolitan cities, the residents depends on the passenger vehicle as their daily life transportation, as you can see here. In the metropolitan cities, the ratio of usage train is relatively high than other areas. And here we can see the trains and buses are main transportation model in the public transportation. And here the pink shows the trains and the blue shows the buses. And the transportation volume covered by trains higher in the metropolitan area, such as Kanto. You can see here the pink is the railway. And also for the Kinki area, the Kanto includes the Tokyo area, and the Kinki includes the Kyoto and Osaka. And yeah, also the I showed in this previous page, but besides these two areas, the most of the area like Hokkaido and the north area and the mid area and the southeast area in Japan, the main transportation model for the people is basically the bus in terms of the public transportation. So now I can hand my baton to the Aaron.
Right, thanks, Chuma-san. Right, so as you can see earlier on, all the statistics and of the Japan, right? So next, talk about, maybe I'd like to share a bit more about the WILLERS. So in WILLER, firstly, just to share with you, our mission is for access all. And what this means is that we want to bring about value innovation of transportation to all places for all people around the world using different technologies and working with organizations to create a smarter, safer, and a seamless mobility. So one that is inclusive and sustainable in the long term and bring about high quality of life. Right, next slide. So a quick background of WILLERS. We are a Japanese-based company with our headquarters in Osaka. So in Japan, we have three main businesses. Firstly is on marketing technology and travel business, where we set up online booking platform for booking of transportations and travel. Secondly is WILLER Express intercity bus operations. And thirdly is on the WILLER trains, where we operate 3 lines in the Kyoto Tango area. So WILLER Singapore is the HQ outside Japan, oversee the Southeast Asia operations, and our focus in the region is the creation of a new mobility solutions and deployment of new technologies to solve societal and mobility challenges. So besides Singapore, we also have operations in Vietnam and Taiwan. Right. Next slide. So just a quick overview of the business that we are involved in. Firstly is the operations. We are the #1 bus platform reservation systems in Japan with more than 6 million registered users. So besides buses, we have also products from more than 20,000 partners, including airlines and cruises, hotels, etc. Through the platform, we are able to collect and analyze a lot of data that allow us to be more targeted in our marketing and also to develop new products so that can cater to the needs of the users. Next slide. Right, in Japan, we operate the largest intercity bus operations with the largest market share, close to 300 buses, running 22 routes and operating 5 bus terminals. So in addition to that, we also look at how to create more enjoyable travel for people on the move. One such example is the creation of this restaurant bus, where we can connect people with food and scenery on the move and transforming mobility into an entertainment experience. So beside bus operation, we design and develop our own bus seats since 2006 to cater to different categories of users. Being a bus operator, safety is also our key priority. So all our buses are equipped with advanced safety sensors to provide warning alerts. And these are also monitored from our backend control room. So in addition, all drivers have to go through very stringent safety daily checks. Right. So next, so what are key mobility trends in Japan? Due to time constraint, I'll highlight two today. Firstly, autonomous driving is a big thing in Japan today, right? As one of the top car manufacturers in the world, as my colleague have shared earlier on, many of the OEMs in Japan has embarked on autonomous technologies and trials for a number of years. And in fact, probably you are aware that the AVs are recently used at the Olympic Games to ferry the sportsmen and women within the Olympic Village. And in addition, many other AV developers are also conducting trials in cities and towns, such as the robotaxis you can see over here in the top right, and also the delivery vehicles at the bottom. And also in this latest article, just early last month, it was stated that Japan is stepping up self-driving technologies, as one of the key mobility to revive rural areas and older population. They're also looking at expanding the use of autonomous vehicles in 40 locations by 2025. So this is definitely a big area to venture into. Right. This slide here shows the milestones of WILLERS in the operations of autonomous vehicles. So while we are not while we are more in the operation company, we don't develop technologies in that sense, but we work with technology partners to conduct trials and operate such AVs, and as we believe that the potential and the benefits that this new mode of transportation can bring about in the future. So as the technologies become more mature, we believe they'll be safer and a sustainable form of transport system that can allow us to operate more efficiently and optimally. So we started our embark on this AV journey since 2019 with the first vehicle operations in Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, followed by Jurong Lake Gardens just last December. This year, we have also conducted a lot of trials in Japan, like the one in Keihana in March, and also Ikebukuro in the Toshima ward. And then just recently in August, we have also just started a trial in Aichi prefecture in Nagoya. Right, next slide. So what is mobility as a service? Right, so in short, it's called MaaS. And so this MaaS is an evolving mobility concept started in 2015 in Europe that aims to provide commuters seamless mobility solutions. I think earlier, Kawabata-san also had mentioned about this. Basically, it's provide seamless mobility solutions that based on the user's travel needs, including bundled transport services. They are ordered and paid for through an integrated digital platform. Right. At a micro level, basically it means that users can have the flexibility to search and choose the most optimal transport modes and routes and make reservations and payment all through a single platform. Right. At a more macro level, this will entail the use of technologies such as the use of AIs, routing engines, sensors, data, communications network for quick real-time informations to integrate all this together. So definitely MaaS presents opportunities for new value creation and allows for changing travel patterns and enhancing individuals' overall journey experience. Okay, next slide. So generally MaaS is categorized by different levels of integration from level 0 to 5. So at the lowest level, basically there is no integration. So every transport mode uses its own payment as an example. And level 1 refers to more of a journey planner where it helps users to plan the routes and make choices on a trip-by-trip basis. Level 2, a bit more integration with info and payment. And level 3 is basically involve a much more complex integration and comprehensive alternative to private car ownership, where you actually integrate the bundling and subscription services that allow users to book multiple types of transportations, including car sharing. At the higher levels, 4 and 5 basically entails integrating societal goals and government policies into such services. Example, setting conditions for operators, incentives to influence more sustainable behavior, to more choice and travel time. Hence, the higher the level, the more comprehensive and seamless service it provides for the users, with the potential to offset private car ownership and lower the cognitive user efforts. Right. Next slide. Right, this slide here just give you a quick glimpse of the many companies that are involving in MaaS today. Right, so these include taxi companies, car sharing, ride hailing, autonomous booking, even conventional transport companies such as JR, JL, ANA, also jumping on the bandwagon, partnering with technologies or platform providers to offer integrated transport booking and payment services. So it's a relatively new and evolving market to penetrate. Next slide. So how does Japan see MaaS? So MaaS has in fact become very popular among the transport industry players in these few years. Next slide. Right. So the Japanese government has been very interested in MaaS and has aimed to provide platform for users that can bring them to their destination by combining several models and technologies. So they believe that the availability of efficient mobility options for users and better use of assets by transport operators will encourage greater movement and in the cities and rural areas, creating more active outings and visitors to public and commercial facilities. Right, so with overall boost in the movement economy of the cities and towns can be revitalized and people's lives can be enriched and transformed. Right. So there are high interest level in the following 4 areas: new mobility technologies, such as AI on demand, green mobility, autonomous vehicles, payment such as cashless payment using QR code, subscription models, data exchange, or how they define the data formats, and also regulations on the use of data or sharing data, and also how we can also make use of the data for long-term planning and policies making. Right. Next slide. So in Japan, the ministries, the MLIT and METI, are the 2 key driving ministries overseeing the POCs, the proof of concepts for MaaS in Japan. So they have also launched initiatives like Smart Mobility Challenge projects to support regions and companies to solve mobility issues. So in the last 2 years, these are the locations that have been identified to do some of these trials in Japan. Right, next. So the last item here, I'll just quickly share about our WILLERS visions and solutions. But before that, I just want to bring this slide here just to share with you about the COVID situations that COVID has definitely thrown a curveball to every one of us, to the entire transport industry, where we are still grappling with the ongoing transport and mobility challenges, right? So we still have to grapple with this pandemic. So, but literally, it has changed the way we live, work, study, and play. And we see a major shift in the human behavior and travel patterns in the past 1.5 years in Japan, Singapore, and around the world. So while many countries are still slowly opening up, most of the people are still working from home, and there is increase in shorter distance travel. So these changes in the mobility landscape would be here to stay for a long time. As such, we need to adapt with the new normal and explore ways to make mobility easier for the new life and working styles. Right. So from WILLERS' perspective, our vision is to be able to enrich people and transform people's lives by integrating technology, the business models, new transport modes, and coupled with new and rich content for users to move on the move. So we are a believer of value innovations, where we aim to reframe the travelers' behaviors and create an enjoyable commuting experience that's easily accessible and safe for everybody. Right. Next slide. Right. So this is my just want to share with you about the Mobi services that we have launched. So basically, what is Mobi? Our Mobi is basically a community mobility ride sharing service to solve first and last mile challenges, allowing people to get on and off anywhere within the designated area with the help of an mobile applications. Right. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Yeah. So we have launched this in Shibuya and Kyoto Tango City area, and these are the geofence area. Next slide here. Yeah, I'm going to finish in 31 minutes time. Yeah, so just now we show the mobile apps and the buses the kind that we use. And subscription models is the key model type of payments that we encourage people as a family to take up as they can enjoy more savings collectively. Right. So next slide. Yeah, so just to share with you, in Singapore, we're going to launch this service in River Valley area and Robertson Quay very soon. Right, next slide. And right, this is the last two slides. And basically, these are the three effects we talk about with having first and last mile travel, where it can provide stress-free travel, increase in number of visitors, and better access to public transport. Lastly, so what we aim to achieve through MAS is basically to allow elderly to have greater mobility freedom, parents and children to feel safe traveling on the road, and make commuting more convenient for our community. And lastly, reducing the need for car ownership and contribute to a more environmental friendly and sustainable mobility. Right, with that, thank you very much for your attention. Okay, next slide. Yeah. And welcome to Japan. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alan, and Chuma-san for giving us the overview of MEIS in Japan. I think it was actually that was quite interesting for quite a few of our attendees, because I know we have quite a few of you who are in the not just the Logitech side, but also in the mobility and MEIS sector as well, even in Singapore and in some of the other markets. So I think that would have been quite helpful for those who are more interested, who are still interested in what WILLERS has to share with regards to the MEIS scene or the mobility tech scene. Please feel free to ask your questions during the Q&A session, which we will be entering shortly. Before that, sorry, Ben, maybe we move this. Before that, we'll go into a very short sharing session by .D and Ace, who are also the co-organizers of OneDotAce. Then thereafter, we will just head on to the Q&A session. So maybe we can get Saken from .D to start off first. Saken, please.
Yep, I'll just go over a quick introduction. So hi everyone, my name is Saken. I currently represent .D. .D is basically a venture builder based in Tokyo and Singapore. And essentially what we do is we have internal ventures, external ventures that we work on, several different partners. Our internal ventures, of course, include some B2C apps and B2B apps. We actually, for external ventures, we actually work on this digital key SaaS solution for mobilities. So if any of those are interested in that, please feel free to let me know. But really, we're really excited to kind of take part, organize this session, because we actually help a lot of different startups around the world expand into Japan. And so that's just one of the areas that we help with. And we're definitely looking for other partners that are really interested in moving into Japan as well. So again, thank you all for joining, and I'll pass the time, since we're short on time, I'll pass the time over to Yangling for ACE.
So I'll briefly share about ACE. So for us, we are the national level startup ecosystem developer in Singapore, and we are supported by the government agencies under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, so specifically Enterprise Singapore and JTC. And our current patron is Dr. Tan See Ling, which is the Minister of Manpower. So for us, we want to develop the Singapore startup ecosystem, and how we do so is by serving 5 key stakeholders: the tech startups, the corporates, the Institute of Higher Learnings, the risk capital, which are investors, and the public sector. So for me, I come from the international team, so I support Singapore startups to expand into regional markets like Southeast Asia and North Asia region, as well as international startups looking to expand into Singapore. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll move on to the Q&A session right now. I know we're running a bit short of time, so if everybody could just bear with us. We do have quite a few questions that came in via the registration. Maybe Ben, you can just bring up these slides from previously. Yeah, before we hit the previous slide. Before we head into the Q&A, I think we had one question from the audience for Kawabata-san, who was talking about the AV. To clarify a bit, to elaborate a bit more on the shared value chain that you're talking about. Yeah, Kawabata-san, could you just go through that very quickly?
Okay, so maybe it means that from my PowerPoint, I already show you the PowerPoint from this one maybe. So it means not only value chain of the shared. So it means in the value chain of the mobility service, all mobility service, and there is a four section of the mobility service I divided. So the one is automobile, old-fashioned automobile business, and they also having the connected AI cloud platform And as you mentioned, shared is only one of the service, mobility service, and especially shared is Uber, the DD, like that kind of the operation system, especially the mass, and the service will be coming. Is that all right to answer?
Oh, I think also for myself, Kawabata-san, I think is there any other examples of shared? Is it mostly like Uber, Grab? Is that sort of the shared experience you're talking about, or is there other types of shared operations?
So of course, most of people already know about the Grab or the Uber, and another type of the operation shared service. For example, beer is coming from the Israel and the US, and like that kind of the B2B operation service also needed for this shared service of the MaaS or the automobile service as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kawabata-san. Maybe then now we're ahead on. I think we don't seem to have any questions coming in from the floor right now. So let us just post questions from the registration that came in. Maybe we'll start with, so I think, let me just put it up in the chat here. So this was a question that came in. How age-friendly is mobility tech designed for? Basically, is there a specific demographic or part of society that we're looking at when we consider offering mobility tech services and innovations? So maybe Alan or Chuma-san, would you be able to take this question first?
Yeah, maybe I take these questions.
Okay.
So I think the future mobility has to be inclusive to me, which means you have to include a wide spectrum of users, including vulnerable group of users such as elderly, the mobility challenge users such as those disabled, children, ladies, right? So basically infrastructures and technologies have to be more user-centric and provide people with more options, right? So that's my take on that. Yeah.
All right. Kawabata-san, do you have anything else to add on this? I think you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, OutTech is good for the vulnerable users, road users. It means elder people or the younger people, children, and the handicapped people and visitors as well. So these kind of the people can be helped by the OutTech.
Right. Okay, I see.
Can I add one thing? Also,
yeah, sure.
As I showed in the representation, especially in the Singapore and Japan context, we need to think about the elderly people who need to cancel their driver license.
Right.
So it should be definitely we need to develop the new mobility, like as we are developing the as Mobi, but the Mobi is not just one solution, but we need to think about the solution for the covering elderly people transportation. Yeah, thank you so much.
I see. Okay. Then on that note, right, actually I do have a question for Kawabata-san as well. No, because Chuma-san mentioned that as elderly people there might be there are more fatal accidents that are expected. Then will we see technology improvements in the vehicle itself? Because I think we had one question that came in from the audience. What kind of new technologies do you think is needed for AV in the future? So if we're going to expect more elderly people to continue driving, do you think that the vehicles itself would be improved to better allow that for elderly, for example?
Yeah, there's so many technology for the autonomous driving or the automated vehicle, but there is some of the key technology. One is onboard operation system. It means this operation system can operate the car driving or the cost of the driving cost for the car. And another type of technology, we call it the V2X. V2X means vehicle connected to the X means, for example, the traffic or the VTV as well. So like that kind of the VTX technology is also important. And ADAS technology, ADAS means the advanced driving assistant system. It will be connected to the full automated driving. So this kind of technology is very important for the sensor technology and the sensor fusion technology and algorithm as well. So many things, but it seems good to the all in one. So.
Yeah. Okay. But and since we're on the topic of vehicles improvement, right? We did have one more question coming in about whether hydrogen energy will be considered for vehicles. So since Chuma-san, you're already on the topic, maybe we start with you, then we'll pass this question on to Alan or Chuma-san after that. Yeah. So do you think hydrogen energy will be considered in future vehicles? Maybe Kawabata-san, you want to start?
Oh, okay. So the Japanese company like Toyota already invested for the hydrogen technology a lot. And Toyota already announced they will launch the hydrogen vehicle like fuel cell and hydrogen unit engine as well. So they already having the hydrogen racing car, like that kind of things. And the EU also considering about to use a lot of kind of the energy resource from related to the hydrogen. And US also started to project to use the hydrogen energy as well. So the hydrogen is one of the key energy for the future mobility.
Right. Then what about Alan and Chuma-san? Do you knowing that you guys are operating one of the largest intercity bus networks in Japan, do you think this might be something, whether it's for passenger, commercial service, or for car, but normal vehicles?
Maybe I take these questions. Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of talks and interest in the use of hydrogen energy. In fact, the use of hydrogen energy is not just only recent. It goes back to many years ago. They already started this even in the 2000s, early 2000s. So, however, this technology has not taken off very well, and the speed of the R&D on this has been quite slow. And so, I'm not too sure, but probably there are a lot of the technologies and processes are more complex as compared to the electrical vehicles. So, I think the cost of the production of such a hydrogen fuel cells vehicles are probably also very high. So I guess at this moment, I think the electric vehicles driven by electric faster. I mean, as in the rate of the them is growing is faster as compared to hydrogen energies. Yeah.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, in terms of the Japanese autonomous the industry, the Toyota is pretty much focused on the develop the hydrogen energies, and it is says that it will be the huge market growth and will be the US dollar 22.5 trillion market in the 2050 or something. So we can say that it should be the good and also for the huge the market and as the alternative energy. But as Alan mentioned, maybe there we are the other WILLERS, maybe the first the technology might be the EV, we suppose.
Right, I see. So since we're on the topic of solutions, new solutions and technologies, right? Are there any solutions that you think can be exported to other countries or cities that are already being in the process of, I guess, being sold worldwide? I think this was also one of the questions that came into our audience. Yeah.
I think, and I saw just now in the mass, I think technologies like artificial intelligence, like AI, machine learnings, or routing algorithms, routing engines, cloud solutions for quick data processing and storage, right? So, and also, of course, greener solutions that can offer greater sustainability for the environment. I think these are some things that I think is good to be exported to other countries and cities. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, before I keep steamrolling on this, do we have any questions from the audience itself on anything of that our three speakers have shared so far? If not, okay, maybe we'll just go with one last question since I realized the time's at 1:30. We did have quite a few people asking how is there any further information or their support system for international startups, whether it's from Europe or from Southeast Asia, to head into Japan in terms of startup development. So maybe Ace, maybe you want to share a bit more about how you guys can maybe help in that part with regards to maybe Singapore to Japan. Yanlin?
Yep. So what are some solutions actually? Okay, so the solution is what solutions can be exported to other country and city, or what?
No. I think we're talking about how startups in Singapore can be supported by ACE to like Japan. Like maybe you can give some examples of what in the done. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So for ACE, we have international partnerships with various partners in Japan. So one of it is Fukuoka City government, the other one is Osaka City government. And for Tokyo, we have a partnership with some of the organizations that's also doing corporate innovation. So they have their own network of corporates in Japan itself. They're on the lookout to scout for international tech solutions. So for ACE, we work closely with our Japan international partners to actually, support Singapore startups that expand to Japan, be it through, networks, business leads, or, just sharing about some of the market developments in Japan itself. Yeah.
Okay, I think we also had one question about the specifically for Europe to Japan. I think Saken, you have a few organizations you can share about this, right?
Right. So I think there was a question about Europe to Japan. I think these are more just general answers. But for example, there's some certain organizations like La French, Tokyo Accelerator, or I guess Tokyo Group or German Accelerator. Those are some organizations that specifically help European startups expand into Japan. There's also, for example, JETRO that, as well as Tokyo Metro Accelerator. And we're happy, we're well connected with them. So we're happy to make some introductions if there's any need for that. So please feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Okay. So I think that's actually the end for this session. Before we end off, is there any questions from the audience? If not, for those who are interested in with regards to fundraising in Japan, please do check out our next session, which will be held on October 15th, which is 2 weeks from now, also on a Friday. We will be having a panel discussion with selected Japanese CVCs, where we'll cover topics on how CVCs, how startup corporate collaboration happens between Japanese CVCs and an international startup. And you can field your questions there, because we did receive some questions regarding how how international startups can work with the Japanese corporates in Japan itself. So if you're interested, please tune into that. Before you leave, we do have a very short poll for everyone just to fill in, so we can get a sense of what you guys are interested in or how helpful this might be, so we can tweak it for future sessions. Ben, could you just launch the poll? So please do help us finish up this poll before you leave this session. If not, thank you to everyone who has attended so far, and thank you to our speakers as well for the sharing. Yep. So please just fill in the poll before you leave. Thank you. And
thank you, Leah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
There will be, for those attendees who are still here, a post-event email will be sent out with information that can, which if you're interested in reaching out to the speakers here today, we will list the information in the email as well. So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. Hope that this was a useful and helpful session for all. And please remember to please do the poll before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kawabata-san. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a nice
Thank you,
weekend.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Good day.
you.
So we'll close the poll in maybe 2 minutes. So we'll just keep it going for a while more. Then Ben, I think you can close the poll with that. If not, thank you to all of our attendees who are still here at the moment.